Badass Attitudes, licensed here, flipping the format on the fear of failure. A badass is aware of their emotions, acknowledges their fears and owns them, and knows when they need a positive attitude adjustment. Sign up for the B.A.D.A.S.S certification class. Don't miss the bus.
That's right. Sign up for the B.A.D.A.S.S certification class. The countdown has begun. It is coming up on Friday, November 19th here at Michelle's Place. You know, I got to tell you, there's a lot of things going on over here at Michelle's Place right now. Every time, first of all, I call my office my cave. And it is kind of like a cave because once I'm in here and I shut the door and I have a curtain over my door, it's complete private. And I am in the other side of the building where my office mates who are on the side of the building are never here. They're just like a placeholder, I suppose. Love them to death, but geez Louise, but I have the whole side of this building to myself. So it is kind of a cave. And so every time I walk out, though, lately, there's been a new transformation. It's very metaphoric for me because I'm a therapist and I'm helping to transform lives. And every time I walk out my door, it's as if I enter a whole new environment every time. Why? Well, Michelle's Place has begun going. I'll get to the point about Wednesday Wisdom in a minute. But Michelle's Place is going through a big transition and expansion. For almost 20 years, they've been, specifically a breast cancer resource center. But in the past couple of years, they've expanded, and now they treat all cancers. They provide resources for anyone struggling with cancer, which is part of why I love the fact that I'm over here. But the expansion has included a new building, which is why I'm here, going from like 2,500 square feet to 10,000 square feet. And so it's still been under construction. The construction was held up during the COVID time. Now it's back in full gear, but they are prepping for their 20th anniversary gala coming up in like 10 days, I think it is. And so much activity is going on. It's like a big party is being planned right outside of my door. And, there's new flooring being laid and new cabinets being put in and new painting being done and new pictures being hung on walls and offices being moved around. And every time I come out, I feel like I have to do a whole new tour to see what the change has been. And it has been very metaphoric because it is about transforming one's self. And so today, and all of this month, the Podcast for Successful Badassery is going to be focused on the A in the BADASS acronym. And so those of you who are new to the podcast, first of all, I pay attention to how many downloads are occurring with the podcast, the stats, and I'm very pleased that it's consistently growing every month. And thank you for finding it. And for those of you who go back and listen to previous episodes, they're pretty evergreen. I don't really talk about current affairs, although I am current, and I'm not, like I say, I'm not immune to what is going on outside of my little cave here. But my job is to provide a safe space for my clients so that they can come here and feel that no matter what is going on outside there, they're safe in here. And I want to provide that same kind of environment for you, that when you come to the Podcast for Successful Badassery, that is exactly what it is. I'm not talking to you about anything political or anything that's going on outside of this, what we're trying to create here, which is a bus to Badassville, so that we can live a happy and healthy life despite all the chaos and the crazy that goes on around us, which is why the tools that I provide for you are all part of the things that works for me. And I find that when I share it with my clients and it works for them, well, then I can put it on the podcast and share it with all of you. So those of you who are discovering it, I do love to recommend and appreciate when you go back and listen to previous podcasts. Whether it's you're getting ready for work or you're driving on your way to work or you're taking a bike ride or you're out walking in the morning or the afternoon getting some exercise. When I keep them at 20-minute intervals, you can get the whole thing by the time you got to get to your destination or finish whatever task or duty you're trying to accomplish. And I love that you're here. And I also love that you've been discovering the Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day podcast, which is on all the same platforms that you find this podcast on. And you use my name, you'll find it. You'll see my Apple a Day logo. And that's 60 seconds on wisdom, success, and personal growth. So when you just have a minute to spare, they're easily digestible because they are bite-sized morsels. Don't you love all of the food metaphors? So today and for the rest of November, every Wednesday, we're going to focus on the A in Badass in the acronym. Now, the Badass is an acronym. The whole program, I do have a hybrid program, digital and group coaching via Zoom calls, very affordable. So if you're looking for, that you need some therapy or you need some help and you need some new tools about thinking, I would love for you to consider what I've got for you. But the B in Badass stands for be yourself. And how can you be yourself if you don't know yourself? So what I do with the B in Badass is a lot of self-discovery, reflection, and learning style, things like that. The A in Badass, the first A, stands for attitude. And you need a positive one if you're going to succeed. So we practice how to have a positive attitude through mindfulness, positive psychology, a little bit of heart math, and solution focus and things like that. Different therapeutic techniques. The D in Badass, which we covered all the month of October, is to decide. Once you decide that it's time for you to grow and succeed, well, you got to know that that's the biggest decision of all, is to decide that it's time. But then you've got to stay dedicated and determined, and you've got to come up with some sort of a discipline. And I help you out with that. So now for the month of November, we're on the A, the second A in Badass, which stands for awareness. And so this month I'm going to be talking about emotional intelligence and being aware of your surrounding, but also practicing more of that positive psychology, boundaries, and things like that, because we need to be aware of what's going on around us, but also mindful of what's going on within us. And that's part of emotional intelligence and mindfulness. And so for the month of November, that is what I'm going to be focusing on for you. So come back each and every Wednesday. Now, awareness. So I wasn't really much in the mood, honestly, to do a podcast because it's been a tough week with clients and with some things going on in my personal life and at home as well. The thing is that when I get on here, it's like, I'm going through life stuff too, and a lot of the times, I bring in a client and we're talking about setting goals. That last month we talked about all of the 8 questions to review your year. And I did that with my clients as well. So I did it on the podcast. So we're all on the same page. We're all working on the same things together. And I'll review the questions in a few minutes for you. But, with what is happening out there in the world today, it seems like every day we're in a new snow globe that just got turned upside down and shaken. And we're waiting for all of the snow to, find its place wherever it's going to land. And then by the end of the day, we think that all of that snow has landed, and we wake up in the morning again and, it's been shaken and stirred again. And I also had the metaphor not too long ago about, we have to play the hand that we're dealt in life. But the game keeps changing. I shared this before. It's like, okay, I'll play this hand, but, I thought we were playing Go Fish, but apparently we're playing poker now. And I don't know the rules of this particular poker game. So let me get my rule book out. Oh, no, wait. So I just figured out how to play poker, but now we're playing, Old Maid, or maybe we're playing Pinochle. I've never even played Pinochle. What are you talking about? I got to play my hand that I'm dealt. Gosh, do you feel that way? Well, you must. You must be feeling that way. I know you are. It's never ending for me as far as with my clients, so I feel like in a way I do have a really good pulse on what's going on in the country and in the world globally, just within my own little personal world that I'm working in, because I too have my own personal things going on in my life. You know what I'm grateful for? I'm grateful that I have the tools to use to cope with it. That's the only difference, is that I'm utilizing the tools that I have accumulated over the years that I freely share with anybody who comes into contact with me. So let's review these 8 questions that we talked about through the month of October. And I'm just going to go through it quickly, and then that'll be it. Because as you review your 2021 and you want to look at 2022 and where you want to go, are you seeing sweeping changes in your life? They say there's going to be a huge exodus of people leaving their jobs, voluntarily or being forced out. Well, is that an opportunity for you? It could be. We think about these things, or we consider these bad things that are happening. Let me just, share an example of, a client who got into a car accident. Nobody's hurt, so there's nothing to be sad about, but the realization that this car is now gone. and it's totaled. But the thing is that it's opening up a new perspective on getting a new set of wheels, a new journey, new tires or whatever to go on the journey. I just purchased a truck, so vehicles for some reason it has a strong connotation and metaphors for me this month. Because here we go again with the Mustang. Okay, another Mustang story. Yes, so I was going to drive it on Monday, Mustang Monday. I was going to hunt someone down and get a Mustang Monday recording so I could publish it. So I go out to the car on Monday to start it, and guess what? Battery's dead. And I don't have the jumper cables. My son had them in his car. And so I can't start the Mustang, so I can't drive the Mustang. And so I have to drive the truck, which, okay, great. I'm grateful I have another vehicle. But once again, it showed me that, another metaphor. And I did speak about this too on my Rotary Club on Monday, that normally I would drive the Mustang here. And I have another vehicle metaphor for you, is that don't ignore or neglect your very important relationships just because something new has come along. Pay attention. This is part of the awareness. Have you been involving yourself in trying to make, either whether it's self-improvement or you're looking for new work or you're concerned about your job or your business or your relationship, whatever it is, be aware of what's happening within you, whether, because like with me, it's like, okay, I ignored the Mustang and the battery died. Haha, that's really funny. It's a funny story. But what if that Mustang is an actual human relationship? And I just let the car, or that individual just kind of sit tight for a while. I'm just going to go get to know this vehicle for a while. Well, okay, you're allowed to have those kinds of, new relationship developments, but how important is that relationship to you? See, now my relationship with my Mustang is important enough for me to no time passed before I got that battery started. But before the end of the day, before the nighttime, my son and I had to make arrangements to meet after work so that he could bring me the jumper cables. But meanwhile, my dad, God bless him, he's 84 years old, but he's still on the ball. He got his little battery charger thing that he has at the house and hooked it up to the car. So by the time I got home, the battery was charged. I had a team of family members to help me because we all know how important that relationship is to me. So when this individual who was sharing with me about their car accident and how sad they are that they're having to say goodbye to this car and feeling silly for grieving a car, and that's okay. But the thing is that aren't we all grieving something? We've all lost something. And this is all on my mind because tonight, once again, I start my next round of my 8-week grief class. But then, of course, my podcast listeners know that I've got the B.A.D.A.S. certification class also coming up in a couple of weeks. And I do both. Why do I do both? Because, man, it's necessary. It's needed. Every time I talk to anybody outside of just people who walk into my door for psychotherapy. Okay, so, I recently inspected a couple of television stations for FCC compliance. I know it seems like my career is all over the place, but it's not really. When it comes right down to it, I help provide peace of mind for broadcasters by allowing them to feel that they are meeting their FCC compliance so they can maintain their license to broadcast. Okay, so the license is important, and I'm giving them peace of mind, and that's some of the work I do. So I did these inspections for these 2 television stations, and and I'm talking to the engineer about it, and or the purchasing person. So these are not the executives of the TV station. They're not the ones that are running the show. They're the staff, maybe, but running their own department. And I'm, and when I tell them what I do, they know that I do the FCC compliance stuff, and that's all they know. And they ask, well, so how are you doing? Oh, we're really busy. Really? You are? I'm like, well, okay. Let me just share with you, I'm also a licensed psychotherapist. Every time anyone in the broadcast industry hears that, they're like, oh my gosh, we so need you. And I'm like, well, now you understand my tagline, right? In my emails, I provide peace of mind for broadcasters. So I do work a little bit in that area with organizational leadership development, but with mindfulness and mental health. And we need to review our year, because you might be making sweeping changes in your life, whether it's business related, relationship related, where you live. And there is a grief process that's going to occur. Even like with this client who wrecked their car. I've experienced the whole thing that this person was talking about. But having the task of getting a new car, but kind of the excitement of getting a new car, but the sadness of letting go of the old car. Well, those are just metaphors for whatever we're grieving right now. Whatever has changed in your life, grief is huge. Even if you're just depressed and you're anxious and you don't know why. What have you lost in the last couple of years? All right, so the month of November is about gratitude as well. So we're going to be aware of some of these things and these emotions that we're feeling. And right now, as you review these questions, okay, so here it is. Okay, so this is part of the gratitude process. So November, the whole apple a day, every day is all about gratitude. And here on the Podcast for Successful Badassery, the month of November, we're going to be focused on the A in badass. And I will come up with a Mustang Monday coming up soon. I'm not sure when, because Mustang's been a little rebellious and she's kind of on timeout. But I want to take her out of timeout because I love her so much and she deserves to go have some fun. So, but I will get a Mustang Monday for you. But let's review the questions just really quickly. All right. So what are your top 5 achievements from this year? And it could be something as small or anywhere in between, so what are you most proud of? And then what are 5 challenges that you overcame this year? What was hard? What are you proud of for overcoming or dealt with? What did you learn about your work and your home life? Could be anything, a skill, a technique, useful tactic, perhaps a lesson learned. And then what did you learn about yourself? For example, strengths, weaknesses, talents, beliefs, values, hopes, fears. And then what new or existing relationships did you develop? Who did you grow your relationship with? What did you create or bring into the world this year? That's question number 6. And think broadly. It could be anything at all that has your unique stamp on it. Question number 7. How specifically did you make a difference in the world this year? Big or small, how did you help others, your community, your world? And then question number 8, where did you have the most fun? What did you enjoy most in your business and your life this year? Take a moment to feel into this question. So review and take a moment to absorb all these achievements and review your responses. How do you feel as you look over your lists? What are some of the highlights? What themes and patterns do you notice? Is there one thing that stood out? What are you most proud of this year? Now, I know that we're going to review these questions in my B.A.D.A.S.S certification class coming up on November 19th. But the thing is that, like I said earlier, I wasn't really in the mood to do a podcast today. There's just a lot going on. I had a couple of clients earlier this morning, and then there was some tough ones yesterday. And like I said, things going on in my own personal life that I just didn't know what I was going to talk about. And then a request from my daughter came through, and I'm glad that I watched this video that she sent me. We've been communicating lately with the Marco Polo app, because she lives in Texas now. It's a different time zone. So, and I'm a therapist, and so it's just really hard to get on the phone or to do a video call live. And so I have discovered that Marco Polo is really great, because we can just record a video and then we just send it back and forth, and it's great. So I asked her a couple times, I said, what's really helpful for me is when your kids get in the video and they do just their silly stuff. And so she obliged. And so before I came on, I was able to watch my 5-year-old grandson, Finley, and my 3-year-old granddaughter, Olivia, be absolutely silly with calling me, Pookie Butt, and calling, good morning, Pook. I hope you have a good day. Enjoy the rain, even though it's raining in Texas, but it's sunny here in California. But it shifted my entire mindset. And then all of a sudden, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with the podcast. It's an awareness. I was aware that I wasn't really mentally prepared. Now, I've recently started utilizing the heart math system on my clients, and so I'm in the practice of being aware of our mindset and our mood and our emotions, and then using the heart math methods to change that. And it helps to reduce stress. And I'm going to be talking more about it on the podcast through November, because it is about awareness. But I wanted also to share that, it's also about practicing gratitude. That can shift your entire mood, your entire day, when you just practice gratitude, even for the smallest things. When you're running grief, like a grief support group, people who are grieving don't really find things to be grateful for right now. They're pretty angry, and you can't blame them. So the gratitude starts with something small. And for me, it started with finding pennies on the ground on my path. And then later it was to take the deliberate step to stop and smell the roses. And I don't just mean figuratively, I mean literally, because what that action does is gets you to stop that automatic walking wherever you're going. You look at the flower, so that all of a sudden you're changing your perspective. You lean down to smell it, so you're changing everything you're doing, because, and then you actually breathe in the aroma of this rose, which is the aromatherapy, and it stirs up the olfactory senses. So it really is shifting your biochemistry in your mind and in your brain and in your heart. Now, that's part of practicing gratitude, and it's a very, very simple thing that you can do right now, regardless of what is going on. Just find one thing today to be grateful for. And then that could be, the Apple a Day podcast, because it will give you more ideas every single day. You don't have to go looking for it. You don't have to think hard about it. So as I wrap up, that's why I wanted to share that with you. I was going to share an article with you about emotional intelligence. But I'm going to be sharing, I kind of talked a little bit more about, the metaphors and the vehicles, and, paying attention to these important relationships, especially as we get into the holidays. If you need something, if you want something from somebody, how about asking them for it instead of hoping that they read your mind? We need more hope in society right now, and when times feel hopeless. But nobody's really going to know what it is that you need unless you voice it. And you can be subtle. You don't have to be aggressive. You can be assertive, and you can be subtle. And that even then, if somebody isn't being responsive, ask somebody else, or tell somebody else, or find your way to something good. That's why I wanted to make sure that I had a grief class scheduled during the holidays. Over here at Michelle's Place, if you're in the Temecula area and you need some grief support, we have a monthly open group here as well. And then, of course, the B.A.D.A.S.S certification class. There are a few seats left, and this is like CPR for your mental health. And who would not want to be a certified badass? Seriously. I know. I get comments from people who say, oh, I'm a badass, because of this and that. And I'm like, I believe you. I absolutely believe you. But are you certified? Really. Come on. It's all in fun. It's basically a workshop where you're going to learn a very cool new tool to improve your attitude and your mindset in a moment's notice at any time that you need it. We do not share personal feelings and emotions about all the things that are going bad. This is not a support group. It's a workshop. We're going to be focused on positive things, happy things, warm memories, and we're going to have some really good music too. So if you're interested in coming, you can shoot me an email. Actually, yeah, you can shoot me an email, kelly@kellyorchard.com, and I'll give you the scoop. But in the meantime, you can get plenty from me if you just subscribe to the podcast, or hey, you can get my Badass Habits ebook. Go to the website, licensedtobebadass.com, and you can download the Badass Habits ebook right there onto your device right then and there. And I've got lots of different ways that you can live successfully badass. And as I plan for the coming year, which I am strategically doing that, I will share with you my strategy. But the reason is that I want you to be focused on your strategy as well, whatever it is, whether it's to develop your relationships, whether it's to create a new business or to find a new job, or maybe you're retiring, but you want to have feel a sense of purpose. whatever it is, that's badass. And that's where we're going. So I want to help you get there. So I'm glad that you showed up today to get your seat to the bus on the bus to Badassville, because I do certify badasses one podcast at a time. Don't I, Bobby?
Who wouldn't want to be a certified badass? Sign up for the Badass certification class, like CPR for your mental health. Hop on the bus to Badassville. Be bold, be brave, be confident, be badass.